Welcome, Bronwen, to Escape the Rat Race Radio. How are you today?
I'm extremely well, thank you, Chris.
Good.
Yes.
Where is that I can see you beaming in from today?
Oh, well, I happen to be in the Whitsunday Islands, a place called Airlie Beach. So it's very early in the morning, but it's about 28 degrees already. So a little bit humid, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place near the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, so over in Australia, and it was only about 6 or 7 months ago when we were together in sunny Southampton. So things have changed a bit. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your story today, Bronwen. So before we kick off, would you mind telling everyone listening who you are, what business you're in, and what specifically that involves on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so my name's Bronwen Vearncombe. I'm a property investor, and that it means that I've been able to create rental income from property. I've built a portfolio up over the last 4 years with my husband, John, and we make profit from renting houses, basically, and that helps us do the things that we love to do and follow our dreams.
Yeah, and following your dreams, indeed, you are. So I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about this as we progress through today's conversation. So I break these interviews up into 3 parts. So part 1, where you were, part 2, where you are now, and part 3, where you want to get to. So let's roll straight into part 1, where you were. So Bronwen, can you tell our listeners where you used to work and what you used to do?
Oh yes, it feels like it was only yesterday. The time has flown by. But I used to work in the City of London. I was a banker. I worked for Lloyds Bank for 21 years, and I did that horrible commute into London every day for several years. And my husband also worked in London and was commuting, so we lived a bit of a nomadic lifestyle, back and forth, not really seeing each other or our children or our parents.
Yeah, so you could say really the rat race, personified there. Yeah.
I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it at times, but there was a moment when it all changed when I was told I was going to retire at 67.
Let's hear about that. So can you describe at what point, Bronwen, you realised that you didn't want to work for somebody else any longer, and what the first steps were that you took to set about changing your situation?
Well, it's a great question, and the key thing for me was, as I said, being told that my retirement age was being pushed back, and at 67 was when I would be able to take my pension. And having had my father retired at 55, and I remember that being quite a big thing in those days, and my ambition was to do the same as him. And John and I had talked for many times about how we can do our traveling, how we could do things that we really wanted to do, and have more time together. And it was just, we got to do something. So the pivotal moment was actually working out our savings, how much money we had in shares, stocks and shares mainly, having worked for the bank for so long and having had sort of executive share options. There were so many of these things. They weren't worth very much individually, but when you added them all up, it was enough for a deposit on a flat. So that's what we did. We cashed them in. We went to see an estate agent in Winchester, and we like to take action without a huge amount of education at that point. We bought a flat and then thought we better learn a little bit more about being a landlord, and bought a couple of books on Amazon. And that was the start of our adventure, really.
Wow. So how did you settle on property? Did you look at other opportunities, and what made you decide property in particular was the strategy for you?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think we'd read a lot and talked to people about property being a good investment. We knew stocks and shares were a little bit haphazard, and I know you could learn about it, but it felt to us that bricks and mortar was a good way. And because we lived in the south of England and in Winchester, it was particularly high rentals. So talking to that estate agent, he was able to tell us that he could rent it the next day after we bought it, and the sort of yield that we would get was significantly more than we felt we could get in other ways. So.
Excellent. And what were the critical decisions that you had to make, or the parameters you set yourself to help you decide when exactly was the right time to quit your job, Bronwen?
Well, the key for us was getting an education, was learning as much as we could about the world of property to understand the risks. And so we bought a book called Property Magic by Simon Zucci. That changed our lives. We went on his program, his 3-day program, and then his 12-month mastermind. And through that education, we were able to really, help set our goals, get some accountability. We had a coach each, and we sort of set very, very clear goals. The first 12 months was to replace one of our incomes. We replaced John's income. He gave up his job within 12 months. And then the following 12 months was to replace my income. So we were talking something around sort of 60,000 a year profit. And in fact, it was interesting because if you work out the cost of commuting, the cost of working, you can pare back the income that you actually need quite significantly to enable you to give up your job. But it was still a big stepping stone for me, I must admit. I reduced my hours. I went to 3 days a week initially for the year before I left. But I do remember the date I left. It was the 20th of December.
Let me stop you there.
I'm preempting you, sorry.
Yes, so that takes us nicely into part 2, Bronwen, which is where you are now. So let me ask you, Bronwen, how long ago is it now since you quit the rat race, and can you remember your escape the rat race date?
Absolutely, I can. So it was the 20th of December, 2015. I have to think because the time has flown by, but it's 2 years ago. It was just before Christmas, and I still hesitated. Should I just carry on for a bit longer? But absolutely not. It was definitely probably overdue, actually. I could have left sooner and then been in the business a bit longer together with John. So
yeah. And can you share with us 3 of the biggest realizations that you have had since transitioning from being an employee to becoming an entrepreneur?
Yes. I think the first one, you'll laugh at this, is it's about bank holidays. As an entrepreneur, you live and you're working, and it can be 24/7. And I remember going with some friends, and we were going away for the bank holiday, and I was thinking, well, they can just switch off completely because they're in a corporate job. They're being paid, and they don't have to worry. Whereas I had a lot I needed to do that week, and I suddenly realised that actually I've got to work that bank holiday. And so yeah, you have a very different mindset, but the pros was so much better. So the other key things were being able to do things when I wanted to do them, being able to have time to do that yoga class in the middle of the day, or to go and help my kids, do something, and to have time with the family, and to just be able to drop something and just say, right, I'm going to dedicate this next few days to something specific. And that's what we were really looking for. But we did find it hard to switch off, I can tell you. So that's the thing as an entrepreneur, especially when you're in business with your partner, is being able to sort of categorize your work and your leisure time. And yeah, we're learning. We've learned a huge amount. Wealth dynamics is one thing that we've learned about each other.
Indeed. Yeah. No, it's super important to understand yourself. And when you take that leap of faith, then even more so to understand where your strengths are, where you need to focus your time.
Absolutely.
So I was going to say, Bronwen, what's the best thing about having your own business? But I think you've kind of answered some of that there in just now for us. So let's move into part 3, which is where you want to get to. So did you set yourself any goals or targets when you decided to leave your job to start your own business? And have you reached them yet?
Yes, we did. So we'd been through a program of education. We carried on our education because what we felt was the importance of setting those goals was what worked for us in those first couple of years. So in that third year, it was pretty much last year, it was really important because we had some very specific things we wanted to do. So John wanted to start his dream, and he's on the Clipper Round the World Yacht Race. And that isn't cheap to do. You have to pay to do it. So we set that as another goal. And that was £50,000 just to pay to do that before all the other costs and things. So yeah, we set our goals. We set our property deals up so that we might be able to achieve that, and we did, and that's why I'm sitting here with the Whitsundays behind me. I'm still working, of course, because our aim in our business was to create a passive income. So property is great for that because you get rental income, and as long as you have someone else managing your properties, then it doesn't matter where you are, you still get that income each month. So that's why we're able to travel. And my other business is helping other people learn. So I'm trying to inspire people to learn from what I've done and give them the very basic steps to investing in property. So my goal now is to launch my new website very shortly and to help people do what I've done, basically create the freedom to do other things in your life.
Yeah, and it was a pleasure to be a part of that and create some content
Indeed.
last year with you, Bronwen, for
Yep.
your new business that you're launching. So I guess, almost you've answered this, do you feel you have greater potential to achieve your life goals now that you have more control over your time? You're doing it right now. You're sat there, literally, John's life goal to sail around the world. You're living it right now.
Yes, we are. We're really proving that you can do it, and I think for me, it's the guts to do it. It's taking that step. It's a lot of people who I've worked with and who have helped teach me, that they're in their business all the time and they're doing the next deal and the next deal and the next deal. And John had to help me put the brakes on because I like doing deals. I love finding the opportunities, but there are some times when you've just got to say that enough is enough. How much do we need to follow our dreams? You don't need to build a fortune. You just need enough. And that's the key for us, is we can still do what we're doing and travel, especially if you build a good team around you. If you get a good support network, you've got good people that you can turn to, and good Wi-Fi. That's the key.
Yeah, no, I love those points. Definitely having the right people around you, building your entrepreneurial team, so important. But also the fact that you just need enough to live the life that you want. And so often people think about wanting to be a millionaire and having all of this money, but actually when you break it down, you really don't need that much. And often it's a lot less than you think. So these are some of the exercises we, of course, go through when we get together at Escape the Rat Race. So Bronwen, what's the one most important thing that you believe will help you continue your success over the next 12 months?
Well, the key for me is continuing what we're doing, traveling, getting a lot from what we're doing and following our dreams, but inspiring other people. That's what really drives me, is to help other people. So I coach people. I have a couple of days a week where I dedicate to coaching people in those first few steps to investing in property. And it just really gives me a real buzz from people seeing me and going, I could do that too. It isn't rocket science. They're putting me up on a pedestal sometimes that, oh my goodness, it's been really, really hard. Well, it isn't rocket science. It really isn't. It's just having someone hold your hand those first steps that's done it themselves, working with people who know and have been through the highs and the lows, and that can be there to hold your hand. And I love that, absolutely love it. And I love doing this sort of thing. I've created the webinars on my program because I love teaching people. And that's something that I didn't know that I would enjoy doing. So that's what's going to keep me going over the next 12 months. And yes, we're doing a few deals still in property, but pretty much we've said that, we'll do the stuff that we want to do, maybe invest with other people who are doing the more complex stuff. So
that's right. Yeah, it's just all about taking that first step, isn't it? And often where you think you're going to end up isn't where you end up. But by taking that first step, the opportunities, the connections just become available to you, and you find the right path for you eventually. So
take action. Take action is the key thing for me.
Absolutely.
You know, carry on.
Yeah. So Bronwen, for anyone listening right now, squashed up on a train, maybe like you were back in the banking days, on their way to work or stuck in a traffic jam, who want to do something different with their lives, but perhaps are still letting fear hold them back, what would you like to say to them?
Take action, be inspired by this conversation and others, and pick up that phone, go on to my website if you want to look at what I do, propertyinvestingfoundation.com, you know, and work with people that have done it, and listen to the positive people, and forget the naysayers. So I was sitting on that train, I was, you know, reading the newspapers and all the negative things that you see in the media, and about property as well. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. It's not true. There's massive opportunity out there. So listen to the positive people. Pick up the phone, talk to me, find me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody that wants to have a bit of confidence to know what to do next. So don't listen to the negative people. Take action and make this year the year that you do something positive.
Excellent words to end us on there, Bronwen. And for anyone who's listening now, head over to Escape the Rat Race website, because we're recording this interview on video as well. You can see Bronwen in the Whitsundays in Australia, living life to the max with her husband, John. So good luck to you, Bronwen. Enjoy the rest of your trip. Best of luck to John. And thank you for being an amazing guest on the Escapees episode of Escape the Rat Race Radio.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Christian.
Bye, Bronwen.